We're kicking off with WWE as this weekend, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins will appear at WWE Elimination Chamber Perth as the special guests on the Grayson Waller effect. A few weeks ago, it was reported that Australia's government wanted The Rock for the show, and while the Brawl Bull won't be there, he'll be watching this segment very closely. In a video shared by WWE, The Rock said that while he won't be there, if provoked by Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, he wouldn't hesitate to make an appearance and deliver a resounding slap to both. The Rock made it clear that he's keeping an eye on any trash-talking antics at WWE Elimination Chamber, urging fans to notify him via social media if anyone dares to stir up trouble. We'll have to see what's next for The Rock, as it's likely the bloodline will come up when Cody and Seth are down under, as the Great One's heel run is showing no signs of slowing down. Right now, Cody Rhodes is one of the very best talkers WWE has, and his promos can tug on the heartstrings of fans, but now the American Nightmare has a tall task ahead of him. With The Rock joining the bloodline, the Brahma Bull will be cutting promos against Rhodes, who would be wise to avoid trying to match wits with the Great One. That's according to Bully Ray, who on Busted Open Radio said that Cody should not try to match Rock on the mic, and said that this isn't because Cody is bad, but rather because The Rock is too good. Bully even said that The Rock would absolutely destroy Cody Rhodes on the mic, and made clear that he has a high opinion of Cody's promo skills, but they pale in comparison to The Rock. We'll have to wait and see how WWE will continue to book Cody Rhodes as we head towards WrestleMania 40, but expect more from Cody and The Rock on the mic. But who you think has the edge in promos? Is it The Rock, or can Cody Rhodes go toe-to-toe with the Great One? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Next month, WWE released its 2K24 video game, and while it's no surprise that Liv Morgan is in the game, a certain nickname for the former women's champion has sparked controversy. On Twitter, WWE's 2K account shared an exclusive first look at Morgan's entrance in the new video game, and the caption, they dubbed Morgan as the Queen of Extreme. This caught the attention of former ECW star Francine, who owns the trademark for that term, and on Twitter made this clear and asked if she had to send something to 2K from her lawyer. WWE 2K would then upload the same video of Morgan's entrance, this one without the Queen of Extreme moniker, and this video was shared by Liv herself. In her tweet, Morgan described herself as the Queen of Extremely Absurd Physical Feats, and we'll have to see if Francine has a bone to pick with this tweet from the Raw superstar. Speaking of WWE 2K24, this week has seen the full roster revealed for the new video game, and it's always interesting to see who makes the cut and who doesn't. If you're a former world champion who's made a significant impact in WWE, you're practically guaranteed to have a spot in a 2K game, but 2K24 will see two huge omissions. Neither Vince McMahon nor Brock Lesnar will be in 2K24, which is almost certainly due to the lawsuit filed against McMahon by Janelle Grant that also references Lesnar. McMahon resigned from WWE last month, while Lesnar's been pulled from all plans, as well as the art for the 2K24 40 Years of WrestleMania edition of the game. The move underscores WWE's proactive measures in response to the controversy surrounding the lawsuit, which has been clear ever since this lawsuit by Miss Grant was filed. While fans will have the option to make McMahon and Lesnar in the game, they won't be playable characters from 2K, in another sign of WWE's efforts to distance from both men. Over to AEW Dynamite, which came to the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma this week for another show on the road to Revolution, but one fan's night didn't start off all too great. On Twitter, one fan named Jared Ralphine Allen claimed that security outside the BOK Center confiscated his sign, saying that it was too mean for the crowd to see. The sign with "Bring Back Diddy Kong Racing, you cowards" written on it was taken away by a security officer named Tara, which the fan revealed to be a bad start to his much-anticipated night. We're not sure how many executives at Nintendo would have had their feelings hurt if they'd seen the sign on TV, but security apparently wasn't going to take the risk this week. This week's Dynamite was an exciting night with several top stars in action, but for Jared Ralphine Allen, he didn't get the chance to make his feelings known about Diddy Kong via his sign. But what do you think of this? Should Allen have been allowed to keep his sign, or should signs at wrestling events be for wrestling-related matters only? Let us know in the comments. Before the main event, Wardlow came out and gave an angry rant about not getting the opportunities he deserved before the match, which admittedly is something we've seen before. Even back in 2022, Wardlow was cutting promos about his position, and it seems that nothing much has changed for the former TNT champion since then. Dynamite opened with Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli coming out to Wild Thing to start the show, which has almost become a tradition for any show Mox is on recently. Opening with Wild Thing is a great way to get the crowd in the right mindset for the evening and encourages crowd participation that will continue throughout the night. Cash Wheeler and Moxley started for their teams in this BCC vs FTR match, and while Wheeler tried to wrestle him down to the mat, Moxley just nailed him with a forearm to daze him. Dax Harwood's shoulder was heavily taped up, so it came as no surprise to see Wheeler shouldering the load early in the match, though both teams made tags before the action spilled outside. This was not a technical clinic despite 3 of the competitors being celebrated technicians, but it was still a fun, hard-hitting fight that made all 4 guys look tough. This match kept getting better as it went on, and every time the announcer revealed how much time was left, it added to the urgency, and the time expired just as FTR was about to hit the Shatter Machine. The fans chanted 5 more minutes, and both teams started fighting, leaving the ref calling for security to break the 4 men apart. Alongside security, Christopher Daniels was also seen trying to calm down Jon Moxley and co., but that didn't stop as Castagnoli locked in a sleeper on Dax Harwood near the turnbuckle. As all this was happening, Moxley was seen with blood dripping down his forehead after he was busted open in the bout, setting up a potential rematch on a bigger show. The 4 men kept finding ways to keep fighting despite the dozen people trying to keep them apart, making it clear that their issues are far from over. The main event of this week's show was an All-Stars Trios bout with Hook, RVD, and Hangman Adam Page taking on Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, and Brian Cage. Hook and Joe kicked things off with a basic lockup that ended with Joe easily shoving the young man to the mat, but Hook was able to take Joe down with a clothesline, angering the AEW World Champ. As soon as Hangman and Swerve were in the ring together, they were brawling, and this match saw several combinations of opponents, but Swerve and Hangman felt like the main focus. The pair felt even more important than the AEW World Champion himself, which has really been how things have felt for a while, arguably throughout Joe's entire title run. This was the usual AEW Trios match with a lot of multi-man spots and no attempt to keep the illegal partners out of the ring, which is fine, but it felt like something was missing. It's tough to say what it was because it felt like all 6 men were doing their best, and after Hangman put Swerve through the announce table, Joe was able to win for his team by choking out RVD. This was a chaotic way for this week's Dynamite to end, and possibly saw one of the company's top stars suffer an injury. At one point in the match, Adam Page was able to counter his way out of an attempted muscle buster, but landed on the mat awkwardly and didn't have a smooth descent. The Cowboy immediately rolled to the outside and clenched his leg, and didn't take part in the rest of the match, and shooed away the cameras after the match, where he was still clutching his ankle. Page was also seen being tended to by the medical team, which has only led to the fear among fans that he is dealing with a serious issue. One fan in attendance claimed that Hangman was seen visibly limping after the cameras were off air, but he made his way backstage on his own volition. It remains to be seen if there is any serious injury and how bad it could be, but this could impact the title match set to happen at Revolution in under 2 weeks' time. During AEW Dynamite, AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy squared off against the Undisputed Kingdom's Mike Bennett after being told by a doctor that he was barely cleared to compete. Cassidy charged at Matt Taven and took him out with an orange punch before he and Bennett fought their way to the ring. This more aggressive side of Cassidy has been good for his character progression. Roderick Strong ran to distract OC, allowing Bennett to hit a low blow in a moment that the fans made clear they were not a fan of. Bennett had firm control over the match before Cassidy made his usual comeback and won with Beach Break, and post-match, the Undisputed Kingdom came out to attack. The attack on Cassidy was interrupted by Jake Hager, who came to his rescue in an interesting development, and we'll hopefully hear from Hager why he helped someone he has no history with. Furthermore, it was announced right after that Jake Hager would be returning to in-ring action, competing against Roderick Strong on this week's edition of AEW Rampage. Hager's been with AEW since 2019 but has been away for some time, and are you excited to see him back in this new face role? Sound off in the comments down below. After a segment with Daniel Garcia being told he would be facing Christian Cage for the TNT title at Revolution, Timeless Toni Storm came out for her latest performance. The local talent got little offense in, and a Thesz press from the Women's World Champion sealed her fate, and to use a point, Storm used Deonna Purrazzo's Venus de Milo hold to get the win. This was a squash in every sense, but before Storm left ringside, Purrazzo made her way to the ring to upstage her, and her opponent for the night was AEW coach Madison Rayne. They shook hands before locking up to show mutual respect, and in stark contrast to the previous bout, this was a competitive fight between two experienced competitors. The pace was a bit on the slow side, but most of what they did looked great, though the bout may have been a better fight and the outcome was just as predictable as Storm's was. Purrazzo was preparing for her first AEW title shot, so there was no way she was going to be booked to lose this close to the pay-per-view, and there was a scary late-match botch that spoiled the contest. This botch led to Rayne falling right on top of her head, which took the wind out of this match's sails, and immediately after the move, a concerned Purrazzo and the referee checked on Rayne. The referee briefly paused the match, but the virtuosa did not relent and locked in Toni Storm's submission to get the win, and was able to fend off a post-match attack by the champ. However, Storm's protege Mariah May was successful with the distraction, and that enabled Toni to succeed the second time and lock in her break-a-leg submission on her challenger to send out a message. So that was Dynamite, which started strong with the BCC versus FTR, but a few moments through the rest of the show kept it from being what it could have been. The scary botch with Rayne and a weird segment backstage with Ric Flair stood out the most for bad reasons, but most of what we saw in the ring was decent. The main event fell short of the opening bout, so the show felt a bit lopsided, and if you only watch one match, make it the Blackpool Combat Club versus FTR. In 2019, Ashley Massaro took her own life, and after her passing, an affidavit was released alleging that she had been sexually assaulted by a US military member during a WWE tour in Kuwait. WWE allegedly pressured Massaro to keep quiet about the matter, not to harm the company's reputation with the military, with Vince McMahon himself allegedly pressuring her. During a recent edition of News Nation, Cara Pipia, a former friend of Massaro, spoke about the matter, but now her comments have faced criticism from Ashley's daughter Alexa. On Twitter, the younger Massaro spoke about Pipia's appearance on News Nation and made some serious claims against Pipia in the years since Ashley's passing. She said, "Cara Pipia wasn't even a friend of my mother's when she passed. She was an ex-best friend who, since her passing, has just spam messaged me unsettling and delirious messages and has fabricated bizarre messages, etc., etc. I finally gained the courage to search my mom's name, and I see her ex-best friend, the woman who has harassed me and my grandma since her passing, has messaged family members awfully mean things pretending to be me, etc., as the voice chosen to represent this. God help me." Alexa added that Pipia is going against what the Massaro family wishes by speaking so publicly on TV about the former Diva Search winner, adding, "No one who supports the Massaro family, literally all that's remaining is me and my grandma Barbara, who I live with anyways, would go to the media or news outlets. They know it's against our wishes, her mother's wishes." It is certainly unfortunate Pipia would decide to use Ashley Massaro's death in such a way, as years after her passing, Ashley Massaro continues to not receive justice in the wrestling world. For the past 2 years, allegations against Vince McMahon have dominated the headlines, and with his resignation last month, the former chairman has been under severe scrutiny. One name who owes a lot of his success to McMahon is Randy Orton, who during an interview with Sports Illustrated acknowledged the role Vince has played in his life. He said, "I gotta say this, I wouldn't be where I am without Vince McMahon taking a chance on me a handful of times. I would not be where I am today without Vince McMahon, but I'm reading this What you've seen and read, I've seen and read. As far as commenting on that, it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart." Ultimately, Orton will remain loyal to WWE with or without McMahon's involvement on the production, and he's not the only top star to be asked about the former chairman. During an appearance on the Howard Stern show, John Cena was asked about McMahon and addressed the importance of accountability while making clear he still loves Vince. He said, "I don't think it's complicated to talk about, it's complicated to listen to. That's why I don't necessarily put a lot of time and equity into it. There's still a long way to go. I can say this, I'm a big advocate of love and friendship and honesty and communication. In the same breath, I'm also an advocate of accountability. If someone's behavior lies so far outside of your value system that the balance shifts of, I can't operate in a world where this works, that's the end result of being accountable. Right now, I'm gonna love the person I love, be their best friend. I love you, you have a hill to climb. There's the saying of, you don't know who your friends are until shit hits the fan or your back is against the wall. That doesn't make any of what's going on any easier to swallow. Just telling someone you love them, it's a hill to climb and we'll see what happens. That's that. It sounds so cliche, but it has to be one day at a time. I've openly said I love the guy, I have a great relationship with the guy, and that's that." It's largely my construct of operating with honesty and communication. Those are strong leads to handling any problem or achievement. The whole thing is super unfortunate and it sucks. It deals with an individual I love and an entity I love. I want everyone to have the experience that I have. Not only do I tell a friend that I love them, but I switch to the entity and say, how can I help? Ultimately, Cena and Orton will continue being loyal to WWE no matter who's in charge, but what do you make of their takes on the McMahon situation? Let us know below. When CM Punk returned to WWE, the immediate plan was for a feud with Seth Rollins, one that'd see the pair face off for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. Those plans changed when Punk suffered a torn triceps injury in the Men's Royal Rumble match, which has robbed Punk of his dream to headline the Showcase of the Immortals. Punk was around for last week's UFC 298 event in Anaheim, California, and when asked about his surgery on his torn triceps, gave a positive update on his condition. He said, "I'm only about 2 weeks post-op. It's more mental than anything. Pain is whatever, like we all deal with it. I'm just more heartbroken. Was kind of on a roll, was looking forward to a lot of cool opportunities coming up, and for that to get paused while I had just returned to the WWE sucks. But I know that those same opportunities will be there, and it's just life. It's an occupational hazard. You get knocked down, you get back up, wash, rinse, repeat." Punk admitted that he must maintain this optimistic approach about his injury or he'll go insane, and admitted having a good cry about it the night the injury happened. While Punk won't be wrestling this April, it's been speculated that he could have a role at the show, and we are wishing the Chicago-made superstar a full and speedy recovery. If you've seen The Iron Claw, you'll know the Von Erich biopic is full of heart, drama, and of course wrestling, but this week, moviegoers in Brazil got a unique experience at a screening. As seen by footage making rounds online, an impromptu wrestling match took place during a screening of, and the audience cheered on and had a lot of fun with this random contest. While many were unaware of the legacy of the Von Erich family, this film has immortalized it for generations to come, ensuring that the story will be known and appreciated by a wider audience. The last time fans saw ROH World TV Champion Kyle Fletcher in the ring, it was on the January 31st edition of Dynamite, and now we know why the Aussie Open member isn't competing. It's been confirmed that Fletcher is currently facing visa issues that are currently keeping him from competing in the United States, which is affecting his roles in both ROH and AEW. Prior to his visa issues, Fletcher was set to work a program over the ROH Television Championship against Ethan Page. Unfortunately, these plans have been put on hold due to his current situation. Fans are eagerly anticipating Fletcher's return to the ring, and hopefully it won't be much longer now before the ROH World TV Champion is able to put his gold on the line. In November 2023, Nick Bolea, the son of Hulk Hogan, was arrested while returning home from a bikini contest at his father's restaurant in Florida and refused to submit a breathalyzer test. According to the arrest report, Bolea's 2021 Dodge Ram approached a traffic stop set up by officers, and despite being signaled to pull over, Bolea did not vacate the lane or reduce his speed. Bolea was driving 51 miles per hour in a 50 zone and showed signs of impairment when he was eventually pulled over, and had a strong odor of alcohol and was swaying when he stood up. Hulk Hogan also showed up at the scene, and Nick claimed that the smell of alcohol was because of his girlfriend, who he'd kissed, as she'd been drinking that night. In an update, new records reveal that on December 21st, Bolea's attorney filed a motion requesting permission for him to enter venues serving alcohol to perform his occupational duties as a DJ. This request comes despite a court order prohibiting him from frequenting such establishments as a condition of his release, and the court has yet to rule on the motion. Bolea has waived his right to a speedy trial, so it may be some time before a verdict is reached, and we'll make sure to keep following his case for further updates. Now Ric Flair has led a life that most wrestlers could only dream of, and now the Nature Boy's life and career is coming to the big screen thanks to The Rock. According to The Wrap, a biopic on Flair is coming from 7 Bucks Productions, with The Rock studio working with many teams who worked on the Saraya biopic, Fighting With My Family. Hopefully, this upcoming version of Flair will be better than the portrayal of Rick in The Iron Claw, as the Nature Boy's life and career will make for an interesting watch once this biopic is made. Earlier this week, we reported on Vanilla Ice, who had purchased an Eddie Guerrero lowrider for $15,000, a price that seemed too good to be true. Well, it turns out that it may have been too good to be true, as on Twitter, Chavo Guerrero claimed that he was in possession of Eddie's original lowrider, stating it was a gift from John Cena. The 16-time world champion reportedly tracked the vehicle down following Eddie's passing in 2005 and gifted it to Chavo, who committed a complete restoration of the lowrider. While Chavo may have the original, it is possible that Ice has one of the other cars that he used in his career, as each week would see a different lowrider from Latino Heat. With the Chavo Guerrero statement, it would come as a relief for the hardcore fan base to know that the iconic lowrider is in the possession of a Guerrero and not Vanilla Ice. And we're ending with some positive news regarding Steve Mongo McMichael now, as the former WCW star is set to return home today after his latest battle with health issues. In addition to his constant fight with ALS, Mongo was recently hospitalized with suspected pneumonia and also contracted MRSA. It's great to hear that Mongo is doing well enough that he can return home, and we're wishing him all the best, especially with a Football Hall of Fame induction set for later this year.